Hello, I'm Kush Patel from Infinity Innovations and Experience Expeditions, and this is the 101 Essentials for turning a hotel website into a revenue generating machine, an ultimate guide for hoteliers to consistently generate more bookings, grow profits, and eventually break free from the OTA dependence. I invite you to join this micro expedition to explore essential number 69, custom theme. In this era of super easy internet solutions, tweak and twist website themes and templates are easily available. Definitely it is one good thing, but if seen from a different perspective, because of these standard themes and templates, every other website looks almost similar. It makes your hotel website look like just another hotel website, and definitely it is not going to interest your guests. To stand out from the crowd and attract more and more guests, your hotel website should be different. No matter whatever platform you choose to build your hotel website on, you can always go for a custom theme for your hotel website, representing your brand, matching its color, fonts, language, and much more. Doing so will make your guests believe that your hotel is genuinely different and something worth considering. That's it. Once they are attracted, consider halfway walked. Standing out of the crowd with a custom brand enriched theme for your hotel website will grab your guests' attention and make them comfortable with your hotel brand gradually. Such small things make a big impact in the minds of your guests and in turn will increase their chances of conversion. In the next post of this series, I am going to help you explore how to make sure your hotel website always works as intended. Meanwhile, make sure you download the free checklist of 101 Essentials to turn your hotel website into a revenue generating machine as well.